let me go ahead and get into tonight's conversation. Last night, I got into the issue of how white privilege enables a certain kind of criminal. And I'm talking about criminals linked to the adult entertainment industry, people involved in sex trafficking, pimping, prostitution. Okay. Some people would argue with me and say, oh, racism isn't as bad as you think it is, or that, the media leads it to believe. Maybe not. Depends on your perspective, your life experience, also how you feel about yourself. But some people would argue with me and be like, oh, white privilege doesn't exist. White privilege definitely exists. Now, does race really exist? Depends on whether you're a scientist or not, and whether or not you want to label what we appear to be as human beings. If you want to classify us in different races, there is no scientific basis of quantifying race. But, you could also label it tribalism, okay? Families. But, when it comes to sex trafficking and when it comes to pimping and prostitution, absolutely people with lighter skin tend to get a pass when it comes to that type of activity, opposed to people with darker skin. That's a fact that you can just look at the headlines in the mainstream media and see time and time again. So last night I was talking about how that relates to Bill Cosby rearing his ugly head again and pulling out the race card in regards to his activity. Now, do I think that he should get a pass for how he's treated people over the years, namely women? No, I don't. Not at all. I really don't like that man. But he is correct, at least from my perspective, when it comes to him facing a certain degree of discrimination when it comes to his history of how he's treated women, because he has quite a few counterparts of different tribes who enjoy the complexion for the protection, lighter skin, such as one of his best friends who passed away, Hugh Hefner, who basically got away with murder when it came to his involvement in crimes linked to pimping and prostitution. Yeah. So I can understand why Bill Cosby would be upset about what he's upset about. But is he just in his complaints? No, because he benefited as much from white privilege and racism within the industry of which he matriculates, which is the Hollywood entertainment industry. He benefited from it as much as he's been harmed by it. I think he actually benefited from white privilege more than quite a few of his white counterparts ever benefited from white privilege. He's an interesting case, very interesting case. As was his rival, I won't say it was his friend, but his rival, Sammy Davis Jr., who in turn was also a good friend of Hugh Hefner.
Well, I'm going to let you go on and enjoy your sketches here. I'm going to see if I can get Sammy Davis to sing. I'll talk to you a little later. Please do. Samela.
Hello.
Enjoying yourself?
Oh, as usual.
Dressed to the teeth as usual?
When they said party to me, I thought, I began to feel kind of silly because Tony's here with...
I feel silly because somebody said we'd...
That's the way it is with our parties, as you well know. It's everything from bikinis to formals and all that stuff in between.
Yeah, very interesting. But tonight we're going to continue that conversation when it comes to the, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe the phenomenon of white privilege enabled pimps. I actually have a song that y'all might want to take a listen to. You can find it on my YouTube and on SoundCloud. It's called White Privileged Enabled Pimp. The lyrics to the song are, he was just a white privileged enabled pimp trolling the internet with a virtual limp. It's like this one.
She thought that he loved her. She thought But little did she know, he just used her for show. And eventually he turned her out too. 'Cause he was nothing but a white privileged enabled pimp, trolling the internet with a virtual limp. He pulled so many girls just like her, lots of so many girls just like her. Yeah, he was nothing but a white privileged enabled pimp, trolling the internet with the virtual limp. He'd sold so many women just like her, drove to suicide women just like her.
Yeah, that's a good song. Anyway, Hugh Hefner wasn't the only one. Actually, a huge news story surrounding the elements of white privilege and white privilege turning a blind eye to the crime of sex trafficking, pimping, and prostitution is in the headlines right now. And I'm talking about that situation revolving around Jeffrey Epstein and his gal pal, Ghislaine, or Ghislaine. I don't know how you say her name. It's spelled Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell. But were they not white, they never would have gotten away with her and those young girls like that. I can't even say that it had so much to do with money. Some people would be like, oh, they're just running with the elite in society. Yes, yes. But there's been other people who are of the elite, upper tier society who never got away with that kind of crap. But, yeah. So the FBI recently picked up Ghislaine, and I don't know if they still got a hold of her. Somehow she has immunity. I was watching this BBC documentary about the entire situation just yesterday. And that woman, I guess because she's so rich and she's so connected to so many powerful people, I think that she's actually using this situation as a way to call out anyone that she just simply doesn't like and link them to that guy Epstein. I don't think that she will ever see the inside of a jail. Not at all. That Prince Andrew connection to all of it, though, is very interesting. They're trying to get him to submit to questioning. I would be shocked if that man ever allowed any sort of a questioning situation to manifest. I think that written statement is all we're ever going to get out of him. Because, I mean, and I feel so bad for that woman, Virginia Giuffre, but you have to keep in mind that the age of consent in the United States is not this age of consent in other countries. Do I think that it's right? No. Do I think it's wrong? Look, I think that the age of consent really should be when the human brain is fully developed, which is the age of 25. And most people look at me when I say that and they're like, oh no, people are going to have sex way before then. If I ruled the world, they wouldn't. I think people need a chance to really grow up and get their mind together before they get into that kind of a situation. But that's me. Unless something happens and I become ruler of the world, no one has to worry about that. But you have to keep in mind, it was not that long ago that in several states within America, the age of consent was as low as 13. Yep. And there are people today who are fighting to get the age of consent lowered even more than it is right now. For the most part, the age of consent in the United States is 18, which is interesting considering that you have to be 21 to imbibe alcohol. But the way I see it, you just got a lot of dudes out there who really want the young girls. I met a guy through a friend when I was active in the adult entertainment industry who, what was his motto? It was gross. What did he say? If she's old enough to bleed, she's old enough to breed. That was his motto when it came to when a female human being was ready to have sex. And I was like, oh, God, get out of here. But, yeah. And part of the reason that men, at least from my perspective, want the really young girls so badly is not necessarily because that's all they're attracted to. It has to do with this ideal that they have in their mind of the woman being fresh and brand new, untainted, you know, not having been around the block. That's a big part of it. It has to do with the men's egos. It really does. Because you have to keep in mind too, a lot of men, they truly still, even in the year 2020, do not view women as their equal or superior, which is what they should think, because we are superior to them. I know I'm horrible, but they really don't. There's a tremendous sect of the male population that still views us females as being their subordinates. And it's a problem. It's a problem that is rearing its ugly head. You know, that's why I was really hoping that this pandemic would kill off a lot of these men, but it doesn't seem to have happened. So anyway, white privilege does enable quite a bit of these sexual deviants and quite a bit of the pimping and the prostitution that's going on. And I think that that's actually a big reason why certain people who are white supremacists hold on to their, you know, ideals of wanting white to be at the top of the totem pole so badly. That's why they hold on to it so, you know, intensely. I think a lot of it does have to do with the prostitution. I think so. I think they want to be able to continue to get away with pimping, and they want to be able to continue purchasing sex in America and get away with it, but utilize that crime as a way of putting away their quote-unquote enemies, people of color. Because it is quite the convenient system. It's a very convenient double standard for a certain kind of person, isn't it? I think it's amazing, actually, when I really think about it, that Dennis Hoff was able to be a legal pimp. Meanwhile, you have people getting arrested every day for pimping and prostitution all across the country, but he got a pass, as did, you know, his peers in that certain location of Nevada where they have the legal brothels. I actually have a couple really interesting interviews on my YouTube with people involved in that brothel system.
Alexandra, also known as Monica Foster, crosses the frozen and desolate roads of northern Nevada to learn the truth of the American legal brothel system and present to the public yet another account of legal brothel owner Dennis Hoff's abuse and unethical behavior. Meet Jennifer, owner and operator of the Calico Club Legal Brothel of Battle Mountain, Nevada. Several years ago, Jennifer worked for Dennis Hoff, and it was through her horrific experience with him that she realized that the American legal brothel system must change for the better.
What has been the biggest obstacle for you?
Dennis Hoff.
Let's talk about Dennis Hoff a little bit, as much as you're talking.
Welcome to another Monica at Home interview. My name is Alexandra, also known as Monica Foster of www.monicaathome.com. And today I have a very special and very brave woman who I admire greatly with me. Her name, well, she's better known as Sunset Thomas, but nowadays she's known as Diane. Welcome to the show, Diane. Thank you very much for coming and being on here with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I appreciate you having me. I mean, this is awesome, and it feels good to finally be able to get some good stuff out that I want to get out. Right.
Well, you have so much.
But isn't it wild that now that Dennis Hoff is dead, his little BFF, Ron Jeremy, gets in trouble for allegedly raping some women? I mean, it really makes you wonder exactly how many women did Hoff criminally abuse. He's dead now, so he's probably on the other side like, ha ha ha, didn't get me. Just like Hefner. Just like Hefner, and allegedly like Epstein too. I'm not convinced that Epstein is really gone. I'm just not. Not at all. Because if you got enough money, you can fake your own death. And that's a very powerful position to be in. Rich, and everyone thinks that you're dead. Shit. Guess you would really see who your friends were.